Country Blue is a 1973 Southern crime drama directed by Jack Conrad, who hailed from the Tallahassee, Florida area. Based on a true story, Country Blue tells the story of Bobby Lee Dixon, a small-town boy who's returned home from a stint in county lockup. Feeling like he's traded one prison for another, he talks his girl into robbing their way to Mexico, but things don't work out as planned. Country Blue is trying to be two kinds of movies. First, it's a drive-in movie. Drive-in movies didn't need to be Hollywood's greatest. Distributors wanted whatever was transgressive enough to get the kids to show up. As long as their movies served up plates of fun, filmmakers could throw whatever they wanted in the margins. Jack Conrad was going to deliver that, but he also wanted to make a calling card. Fresh out of USC film school, he gathered some friends and connections and brought them back to his family farm, intent on making a movie that would launch his career. Jack Conrad directed, produced, wrote, and edited the film. When negotiations with Jeff Bridges to play the lead fell through, and then when Robert Blake, Conrad assumed the lead role just to get the movie done. Country Blue was not the jumpstart to his career that he intended. Country Blue really needed a star performance, and Jack Conrad wasn't that kind of actor. He comes off as a placeholder, communicating enough of the soul in the story to help imagine what Bobby Lee could be, and that's an adequate description of the whole film artistically. The financial and technical limitations are obvious throughout, and yet there's enough communicated to suggest the story could have been. As an exploitation film, it also delivers enough moments to qualify for the genre, but not with a lot of gusto. Most of the lurid content, some rolling in the grass, a jailhouse beatdown, a sapphic bully, a couple of car chases, they're muted because it's not what the filmmakers wanted to call attention to. What the film does have is the Tallahassee environment, showing off the beautiful squalor with some decent run-and-gun camera work, and the meager production actually complements the story of a small-town loser who's not smart or cool or saintly. He's just a flawed man desperate to change his life. If you've ever watched an episode of Jerry Springer and shed a tear for one of his guests, you might connect with this movie. Also, this is an anti-establishment film of the 70s, so it ends on a downer. Bobby Lee doesn't get a happy ending, although he lives. The biggest get in the cast is Dub Taylor, veteran character actor from The Wild Bunch, Bonnie and Clyde, and hundreds of other movies and TV shows. He brings humor and energy to the film. Research says he improv'd most of his lines. The scenes worth fast-forwarding to are the bank scenes, starting at 32 minutes and at 55 minutes, featuring David Huddleston, the Big Lebowski himself. He plays the banker that outsmarts Bobby Lee, and if you told me that the Coen brothers cast Huddleston just so he could resurrect his banker character, I could believe it. Emmett Alston, a classmate at Conrad's at USC, was cinematographer for Country Blue. He would end up directing several movies in the VHS era, movies like Demon Warp, New Year's Evil, and 9 Deaths of the Ninja. We'll talk about that in another episode. Conrad's strength in Country Blue was his writing, so it makes sense that his big break would happen after he optioned a novel called The Howling and adapted it into a screenplay. He'd end up selling that screenplay, get himself attached as director, and leave the project due to creative differences. The producers would replace him with Joe Dante as director and use a new script, co-written by John Sayles, to release The Howling in 1981. Conrad would get a producer credit. Conrad remained a lifelong resident of the Tallahassee area, an advocate of the arts, and a local conservationist, a voice against suburban sprawl that threatened to reshape his home. In the 90s, his family plantation became Millstone Institute for Preservation, a nature preserve as well as a cultural center. A celebrated local legend, he passed away in 2013. Country Blue is a story about a country boy trying to get out. It features the kind of guy that Springsteen would sing about in a movie that the Coen brothers would have eaten up as kids. It captures a moment in time when an aspiring filmmaker attempted to give his home its close-up.